Raise your hand if you have ever worked for a bad boss, had a bizarre colleague, or worked at a place that was just terrible. Horrible, like I can't believe I can't make it up the stairs today. I just don't have the internal fortitude to make it into the office. Okay, I see hands going up everywhere. I know some of you all probably wanted to raise both hands, feet, toes, borrow your neighbor's fingers. I understand that. I would take the long way to the supply closet at this one place I worked with just so I could avoid the negative Nathan. I mean, he was down, down, down all the time. But in some cases, it's not just one negative Nathan, but the whole company culture is actually toxic. And I've worked for a place like that before too. My name is Tanya Devane, and I help our clients identify the warning signs of toxic behavior and give tips, tricks on how to improve the culture because no one should really succumb to that belief that it can't be fixed. So, welcome everyone to Omnia Group's monthly webinar presentation, Transforming Your Workplace Culture from Toxic to Terrific. Sometimes I feel this way, like I can't deal with the negative people. I mean, click agree. I want everyone to click agree if you love being around negative people. If you love being around negative people and you invite them into your world, go ahead at the top where that man has his hand raised, hit the drop down menu and click agree. What? Nobody? I mean, I'm waiting. I don't see anyone that's agreeing to that. Right, because nobody wants to be around negative people. We want to hide from that negativity. We know it brings us down. But, especially as leaders, we don't have that option. We can't be this guy. We can't go underneath our desk or close our door. We have to be the doctors that diagnose the symptoms, write the prescription, and to heal the disease and inoculate the rest of the team to prevent the spread. We can't be the hiding person. We can't be the one that's trying to get away because negativity can really run rampant. So if we had to, if I had to ask you, how would you describe negativity? Like if you could give me another word of negativity, what would you say? And you can go ahead and type that in to the chat box at the bottom. Sad. Thank you, boring. Yes. Toxic, boring, angry. All of those are great. Yes. Negativity is horrible. I mean, like, that's why it's negative because it's the opposite of positive, right? When we think about negativity, I think about it as being habitual skepticism and a disagreeable tendency to deny or oppose or resist suggestions or commands. Now, doesn't that just sound like somebody you want to work with, an habitual skeptic person? Somebody that's going to disagree with everything you say. I mean, if we say, oh, we're going to have an ice cream social today, why they could have just put that money on my paycheck. I don't understand why they're giving us ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant anyway. I don't want those jimmies on my ice cream or sprinkles as some people may call them. Negativity is not a great thing obviously, and especially when we have it in the workplace. Workplace negativity is a crescendo of pessimism and skepticism voices, and when it gets too loud, it becomes unbearable. And that's when it starts to affect things. So let's talk about the cost of negativity. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. What about, type in the chat box how negativity can impact the workplace. What are some downsides of having that negativity, toxic type of workplace? You can go ahead and use the chat box. Low productivity, productivity was the first one. So I guess we all know that we are all for-profit companies because we need to make money. We need to be productive. Lowers morale. That is excellent. Thank you so much, Peggy and Jennifer. Troubled relationships. Yes, nobody wants to come into work and be next to someone that they're always giving you the side eye. They all, always rolling their eyes at you, or they don't say hello to you when you walk through the door and they are supposed to be the director of first impressions. But what's my impression when I walk in? That you hate me because you never say hello. And so, yes, and it is contagious. Very good, Helen. When we're looking at the cost of negativity, miss deadlines, and that's definitely going to lead to that productivity. Also, attendance issues because people don't want to come in. I did a cultural survey one time for one of our clients, and somebody wrote that wouldn't even they would just call in sick because they just didn't feel like coming into the culture because it was so toxic, it was so negative. Also, customer service. We've all experienced that place where just when you walk in, it seems like everyone is upset, like everyone woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And it has to be something about that culture, not necessarily the individuals. And the individuals are breeding off of that negative culture. And now we're seeing it when we go and just try to, buy some things, make ourselves happy, have some retail therapy, but it looks like they need retail therapy because they're bringing me down. And then employee turnover, of course, because nobody wants to work someplace where they don't feel respected, they don't feel that their opinion matters, that they don't feel that the company is utilizing them to the best, meaning that they are overlooked for certain things and projects because why am I staying if you don't value everything that I have to offer? A Bureau of Labor and Statistics estimates that 3 billion, and that's billion with the B as in boy, per year is lost to workplace negativity. That's why we saw so much of that. When I asked about the cost of negativity, a lot of people put production and that or productivity, and that is so true. Workplace negativity goes far beyond those walls of the office cuticle. It really goes in through attitudes, and attitudes drive behaviors, and behaviors drive outcomes. So let's talk about some of those behaviors, some of those toxic types of people that we have in our organization. We all know about the steamrollers. Those are the ones that just come, it's my way, the highway, we're going to do it this way. And it's really problematic when it's the leader that is the steamroller because you're not going to get that creativity. Other types is the blame shifter. Nope, that's not me. That's not my job. Look at my job description. It does not say that I have to do XYZ. It's their fault. Well, if marketing would have given me the pricing on time, then I could have gotten it out to my customer, and now my customer doesn't know the price. Well, maybe you could have just walked over to marketing and say, "Hey, do you have that price?" So the blame shifters, they create that toxic environment. The gossipers, the ones that are standing at the water cooler. Did you know what she said? Did you hear them? Did you hear what I heard? This is what I overheard. And that's going to create a toxic environment. Or the negative, the pessimist, everything is bad no matter what the company does, no matter what direction that I don't know why they're doing this, it's not going to work. We tried that in 1942 and it didn't work. I don't know why they think it's going to work in 2018. No matter what type of growth the company is trying to do, they're going to be the negative ones. And then the narcissist, it's all about me, spotlight on me. I am the one. I am the salesperson. I am king. I am your manager. So you're going to do what I say. Those types of individuals definitely cause a toxic environment. Are the drama kings and queens of the office. There are the ones that will always bring up something, always has something going on. They're the ones that bring their private life into the professional life. And I mean, I know we're working with these people 8, 10, 12 hours a day. So there is going to be some overlap, but let's not make it so much that it affects the whole company. And it can really affect the whole company because raise your hand if you believe that one bad apple spoils the bunch. Go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, there you go. Yep, I see hands going up all over the place. And this is not just a proverb. People actually have done tests, and yes, one apple because of what it gives off, one, overripe apple because what it gives off can affect everything else, can affect all the other apples. I read a research paper in excuse me, in this issue of research in organizational behavior, and it examined the fact that this whole thing about one bad apple spoiling the bunch. The researchers found that a single toxic team member can be the catalyst for the downward spiral of the organization. They also found, and I thought that this was very interesting, that negative behaviors outweigh positive behaviors. So, in other words, while one bad apple can spoil the barrel, one or two good apples can't unspoil it. So if you have one, it's going to spoil. So, and even if you have good ones, it doesn't compensate for that. So that is why we always need to be scanning the bunch for the signs. So we always need to be scanning our apples. We always need to be scanning our employees and look for the signs. So that first sign you're going to look for are communication issues. If there's some communication issues, this is the initial sign of dysfunction. Toxic workplace is prevalent if there is if there's some communication problem, excuse me. And it's multiple layers. I mean, we're talking about peer-to-peer communication problems, peer to management, department to department. Problems can be demonstrated by a lack of communication, whereby the employees find out about decisions after it's been implemented. Now, we've all probably experienced that where, oh, so we changed pricing, but you didn't tell us, so I just told a client this price and it was changed. We've probably all have experienced that where something that literally affects our job has changed, but no one told us about the change. And that's, bad communication. And that is one big sign for a toxic type of workplace. Another one is inconsistency in policies. We've all experienced as a customer, a company where, we went and we had a return, we didn't have the receipt, and the nice lady said, okay, yes, Miss Customer, I'll go ahead and take that return, no problem. We just need your credit card and that's it. We go back, a month later or what have you. No, I need your receipt. Nope, nope, can't do it. If without a receipt, we cannot make the return. And you're like, well, last, I just did it. I don't understand what happened. And when you have inconsistent policies in your office, that affects customers as well because now when they talk to one account manager, they say this, they talk to another account manager, they get another answer. And so you want to make sure that the policies are consistent. And that also works in regards to leaders. And if a client advisor or an account manager has to escalate a call, let's make sure that we give our service team, our service people, the authority to make some decisions because now it lessens their effectiveness. If, oh, all I have to do is call the manager, now all of a sudden everything is golden and I can get things done. That does not strengthen your organization. And one, it's going to make more work on you because now anytime somebody has a problem, oh, just don't even talk to them. Just go to the manager, go to the supervisor because they're not going to be able to help you. So you want to make sure that you do have policies that are consistent. And lastly, a sign is simmering displeasure. I bet we can all think of a place where when we go in again that people are just sad and upset and no one seems happy. Making excuses and blaming others is commonplace. Eventually team members are going to start to withdraw, stop interacting with others, and or accept in very defensive manners, and then you would need to listen to our conflict resolution webinar in regards to that, how to handle once we've let the situation go so bad, now we're having a bunch of conflict. It's time, listen to that webinar that we have. Or they may just leave the organization, and that's when we have that uh, turnover. So let's break these down a little bit further in regards to these signs and how to really look and listen for them. The first one is those communication issues. Communication is crucial. Without it, effective communication, effective understanding, working together to, is not going to happen. You have to have great communication. First off, tone. Tone dictates everything. And because tone dictates everything, that's why it can sometimes be problematic when you have an email. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have ever read an email with an attitude or sent an email with an attitude. I just want to let you all know I'm raising both hands because I'm on both sides of that coin. Yes, I have. And it's because when we receive that email, we have our own internal, you know, uh, communication wheel happening in our head about, oh, she probably feels like I'm being slow. That's why she's asking when am I going to have that report ready. And the person on the other side is just wondering when are you going to have they're saying, I wonder when she's going to have the report ready. And you're reading it, I don't know why she doesn't have that report. She's never going to give me the report. I wonder when she's going to give it to me. So we read it that way, but that's not how the person intended it. So that's why you have to really think about the tone, especially when you're sending it via email. You may want to read it. I know I had a colleague that would send me his emails ahead of time and say, Tanya, what do you think about this? How does this sound to you? And so I would be like, well, maybe say this. Maybe start off with, hey guys, or hey group, hey team. Let's try to start off a little slower instead of saying you all need to. And the you all need to, oh, that tone, you start off going down a bad track. You're starting downhill with the you need to. And so, like, I don't need to do anything except pay my taxes. But, so having that tone in an email, or starting the email out that way, can be problematic. Next, when we're talking about communication issues or body language. Now, we all know about crossing the hands, or, turning sideways when somebody comes in, or just not looking at someone in the face, not giving them the eye contact. All of these signs are saying either yes, I'm accepting of what you have to say, or no, I don't care what you have to say. I am just standing here waiting for your lips to shut so I can say what I have to say and we can go on about our business. The next is untimely. Now, I have had a boss that it was I was in 30 days or 60 days. I don't know. It was either my 30 or 60-day review. I was getting on the elevator and she was walking by basically, so the door was still open. She was like, "Oh, how's everything going?" And I said, "Oh, it's going great." And I was unable to get out the rest of my statement. And then when I got to my 90-day review, she recalled that what she called quote unquote meeting and said, "Well, I know when I checked in with you, I can't remember if it was 30 or 60 days, that you said everything was going great." That was literally what she thought was our meeting. And no, because that was not the great time to ask a question while the elevator doors were basically getting ready to close. Or we've talked going back to that review, or going back to a review time as well. If if the person doesn't know that they've been doing something wrong for 365 days, is it really their fault at that point? I don't think so. So we want to make sure that we are addressing the situations when the situation happens. Now, I say that with a little asterisk, and here's the asterisk, that if it is a volatile, if it's a lot of conflict, sometimes we do need to wait and let everybody take a breath and take 10, but we still need to address the situation. We can't wait 4 months, 6 months, 365 days to let someone know that they're doing something wrong. And it works on the other side too. We can't wait 365 days to let them know that they're doing something awesome and great. Why are you waiting till review time to let someone know that they did a great job? It's like at that point, I can't even remember. Like, I can barely remember what I had this morning for breakfast. You want me to remember back, in 2017 when I helped that customer with that thing and they did that? And that's what you're congratulating me on. So you want to make sure that it's timely. Next, feedback. And feedback works both ways. When we're in a leadership position, we have to accept feedback just as well as we have to give feedback. If feedback is a one-way street, it's going to be problematic, because then I'm going to feel like all you just talk at me all the time and I never get to respond. Also, feedback should not only be negative, feedback should also be positive. So we want to talk about what you did well, what what you know what looks good, what you said, and make sure that it is specific type of feedback as well. Nobody wants the fluff. Nobody wants the fluff, like, "Oh, congratulations, Matt. You got that fax off the fax machine. Let's all stand up and clap because Matt got the fax off the fax machine." One, are people really still using faxes? And I can answer that yes, because we get faxed assessments here at the Omnia Group. Not all the time, but we still have some clients that like to fax us the assessment. But we want to make sure that the feedback can actually add something to their life and not have them rolling their eyes like, did she just really congratulate me for walking to a fax machine? So we want to make sure that it is something that's impactful. Also, closed and deceitful, that's a communication issue. If we don't really have an open door policy, that nothing is forthcoming, your boss looks like they clam up every time you come around, you ask a question and they're like, I don't know, I can't discuss that with you. No, I mean, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to feel like this is all cloak and dagger and we're in the CIA security, level 10, and we can't discuss anything and every file is redacted. Nobody wants to work around that. But I'm not saying, of course, that we can't just open up and give everyone the keys to the kingdom, but they shouldn't have to stand out there with the armed guards to find out either. So you want to make sure that you are striking a nice balance. Also, an unreceptive atmosphere. One, okay, we can go back to the story of me getting in the elevator. That was an unreceptive atmosphere. Also, when someone comes into your office and you have this big, you know, desk, maybe come around the desk. Maybe kind of slide your chair out so they don't have to try to struggle and stand on their tippy toes to look over your computer to see your eyes, because people like that eye contact. I want to read what you're saying without having to listen to the words. Like, because what your eyes are telling me is going to tell me a lot more than what your mouth is sometimes. And so people like to see that. So you want to make sure that you make it a welcoming and receptive type of atmosphere. Now, the third sign is that inconsistency that we're going to focus on a little bit. One is promises. Mean what you say. Broken promises breeds distrust. It makes for a toxic work environment, because if I can't believe what you say, then I'm not going to believe anything. And so now it's going to have me second guessing and looking behind my shoulder and to make sure that nothing's coming up behind me. So you want to make sure that you mean what you say. Next are the hidden agendas. Are there the reasons people may have, they may think that you're trying to do something on the side, that because of the inconsistent policies, like why is it good for one person and not good for the other? I'm confused as to why she can come in at 8 and I have to, and I have to be here at 7:30. What's going on? What's happening there? So those hidden agendas, you don't want people to think that you are showing favoritism or that you are doing something behind their back, because you want your people to trust you. When you have a team that trusts you, that believes in you, you're going to have a stronger team. Because guess what? Now all of my energy is focused on you, focused on my project, focused on my production, focused on my customers, focused on making this company the best that it can be. If I have to also try to focus on, if you're going to stab me in the back, if you're trying to do something behind my back, guess what? You no longer have 100% of my focus, because whatever percentage it is, if it's 10%, you have 10% over there, and 90% what I'm supposed to be doing. You want your people 100% focused in what they're supposed, in what you want them to do and what you want them to achieve. Thirdly is mixed messages. Don't, you know, don't expose the company to bad press, but take risks. Be innovative, but follow our rules and guidelines to the letter. Focus on the company's number one initiative, but all of these projects are important and have a high priority. Or we believe in work life balance, but your boss emails you when you're on vacation. Raise your hand if any of these mixed messages has happened. We are protecting the innocent, so no names will be mentioned. But yes, I see hands going up all over the place. I believe in work-life balance, but I look at my email and I got 5 emails. Okay, so am I supposed to answer the email, or you just giving me, you just wanted to make sure it was in my inbox when I came back on Monday? Like, really, what's the deal with that? When you when there's inconsistency in the workplace, it affects job satisfaction and profits, because once again, my focus is not 100% on where it needs to be. The next one is displeasure. So that simmering displeasure. So this is actually the last one. I'm sorry I said that the inconsistency was the last one. There's four. And it's that displeasure, that simmering displeasure. How do I hate thee? Let me count the ways. Or what some of your employees are saying if the culture is toxic. The simmering displeasure can come from a workplace culture that allows cliquish behaviors. So I mean, definitely there's going to be some work husbands, some work wives, some work BFFs, and that's fine. So, because there are some people that you will just naturally resonate with more than others because of the personalities, because of the behaviors. But you don't want it to become cliquish. You don't want it to become where people feel like they are the outsiders of this situation. That's so important when you're onboarding. I'm just going to give you a tidbit. When you're onboarding, make sure that the person feels welcome and invited into the group. Because you remember that first day at school, you didn't want to be the last one picked for volleyball, or no, you didn't know you were the new kid on the block. I'm an army brat, so I went through that a lot, during my school time. And so nobody wants to feel that way. So you want to make sure that you bring people in. And the way you do that, one, during onboarding, taking them around, giving them a tour. Also, making sure that we do some activities as a group, because sometimes people are really focused on their job and so they don't socialize a lot. So, getting them outside of that will help in regards to that cliquish. Showing favoritism, that is going to simmer some bad feelings. Also, encourage backbiting and pitting coworkers against each other. Don't get me wrong, a little competition is good, especially in sales. I even amp up the competition a little bit more. But we still want to make sure that everybody is fighting for the same goal, and that is to make this company the best it can be. And you can't do that, once again, if you have people focusing on each other and not on the main goal. Criticizing others before asking questions. You always want to investigate before you annihilate. Now, you never should annihilate. I'm just joking. But you do want to do the first part, and that is investigate. You want to make sure that you are investigating before you before you start making assumptions. It is essential to be proactive and recognize the signs in order to begin taking the necessary steps to move in the direction that's more suitable and satisfying and meaningful work. So it's going to make your workplace better. So let's talk about some of those cures. Now, I gave you some tidbits as I was going through some of those signs, but let's talk about the cures to a toxic workplace. First is talk the talk. Actions speak louder than words. Do more than talk the talk. Follow through with what you have, that what you say will be done will be done. So you want to make sure that you are doing what you say, mean what you say, and say what you mean all the time. You want to solicit negativity. And everybody's like, what? Hold the phone. Solicit negativity. I thought we were trying to stop it, Tanya. I'm going to go into this a little bit more. But negative attitudes are pandemic. And it's like that research said, that it can infect the office and it's going to be louder than the positive. And we're going to discuss these a little bit further. So I'm going to go into more about that, soliciting that negativity. Next is, hello, could you say that I did a great job? So we should have some type of kudos program in place. And then lastly, right place, right bus, right direction, right role. No employee likes the idea of being stuck in a dead end job, one with no potential for growth, enrichment, or advancement. Now, listen to that: growth, enrichment, or advancement. It doesn't mean that I want to be president. It doesn't mean that I want to be manager or leader in my role. What it means is that I want to have some growth. I want to do more than what I'm doing now, even though it's in the same role. That also doesn't say that they're looking for more money. This can cause an even highly skilled employee to become malcontent. Because, if I'm just doing the same thing every day, if I can do my job in an hour and I have to be here for 8 hours, guess what? I'm not being challenged. Let's take, each one of these and do a little bit more in depth. So let's do that. Talk the talk. Consistent communication and actions, uncertainty can certainly instill positivity within the organization. People will feel more at ease when they know what to expect. Confidence at work typically stems from consistent communication, meaning what you say what you mean. When we talk about that communication piece regarding upcoming changes in operations, leadership, in leadership or in employment, informed workforce is less likely to make mistakes. They're less likely to be demotivated or disengaged in the process. Even if it's bad news, you want to communicate it because guess what? The people that are in your organization can probably help you in regards to the issue that you have. Use that wealth of knowledge. But if you're trying to hold it tight to the vest, you're going to have problems. So go ahead and talk the talk and communicate. Let's get it out on the table. I'm from the South. We just put everything out on the front porch and let it fly. So let's do that. Put everything out on the front porch. Not everything, of course, because once again, in leadership, there are some things that can't be discussed until we actually know, until we have some steps of of the direction that we're going to take. But definitely, communicate. Next is management. Messages from management. Miscommunication, misinterpretations often arise when management is in disagreement. I remember I had a boss, well, I had two bosses, and one told me to do it this way. The other one told me to do it the other way. Now, both of them were had C's in front of their names. One was the CEO, one was the CFO. Now I'm sitting here at my desk thinking I don't know what to do because I'm thinking, well, both of y'all kind of signed my check, so I don't know exactly who to listen to at that point. So when management is not, if they're not talking to each other, it's hard for your employees to talk the talk and walk the walk. Also, enforcing policies. When we don't enforce the policies, that can lead to poor morale. Policies should be enforced for all employees and no one gets a special treatment. And that's how you're really going to talk the talk and walk the walk and mean what you say. Because if we say everybody has to be here at 8 o'clock, guess what? Everybody has to be here at 8 o'clock. And, that policy is really not up for debate. And then the next one is that solicit negativity. Now, this is the one that probably some people had paused for a second, like, what is she talking about, solicit negativity? And we were just talking about how to get negativity out of our organization. Well, yes, the way to get it out is to say, bring it on, let's address it, and let's move on. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, you want to talk about listening to the naysayers because we already know that their voice is louder than the positive people. Just like, when people write reviews, they are quicker to write a negative review than a positive review, and that comes from I expect to have I expect to have a great a great experience in your organization. I expect that. So I shouldn't have to write something that says congratulations. Sometimes people feel that way at work too. I expect you to do a great job. This is why I'm paying you. You're getting a paycheck, so I shouldn't have to tell you congratulations. So when we're talking about soliciting that negativity, let's say for example that we want to start we're going to start a new marketing campaign. And so we want to focus on, let's say, hospitals. So we want to really get deep into the healthcare industry. And so we're going to have a think tank session, a meeting about that. So we bring everybody in. And then the naysayer, well, we did that 10 years ago and it didn't work. Okay. So instead of trying to shut them down, saying, well, you know what? This is 10 years later, things have changed, technology has changed. Let's let's try it again. Instead of starting there first, let's go to them and say, okay, so what happened 10 years ago? So why do you think it did not work 10 years ago? So you want them to go ahead and get all of that negativity out, ask them why they think that way, and then ask them what do they think, some of the obstacles are. So we're getting it all out. So let them have the floor in discussing the obstacles, and then this is where you're turning them around. This is where they start turning on. This is where you start turning, turning that dime around a little bit. Focus on the solution, because now they've said all the negative things. Well, we tried it 10 years ago, it didn't work. Well, what happened? Marketing wasn't strong. We didn't have the right price point. So now we're discussing those obstacles. Now let's focusing on the solution. Well, now because technology, we are able to, 10 years ago, people weren't using social media as much. Now we have that avenue. So maybe that's going to help that marketing piece. And now that we, have seen the competition, we have really analyzed some of the pricing. Now we come up with a better price point. What are your thoughts? So you see how I turn that? Yes, I know everybody's giving me a hand clap right now because I turned that negative person. He was against me, but now he's for me, and now he's going to be my strongest person on the team in regards to doing this marketing piece, because we've gotten all that negativity out. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about soliciting that negativity. And then but you want to make sure that we are not just giving this negative person a soapbox to stand on, and the whole meeting, the hour-long meeting, is nothing but them focusing on the negatives. If they go on and on, what is time to say, okay, let's take the first part of your concern, and break it down, so we don't have 60 minutes of them standing up there talking about how everything is going to be bad and nothing's going to work out for us. So you want to make sure you give them time, but you don't give them the whole floor. The next, or the time on the floor for the whole time, I should say. So now let's go to the next part. Kudos, congratulations, say, thank you. People want that. This will help in regards to creating a culture that is terrific. This is going to turn your culture around. Giving kudos. I have clients that really think and have said this to me. Once again, I don't say the names of the guilty, but Tanya, they have a paycheck. If they were able to log into their computer today, they should know that they didn't get fired and they're doing a great job. Well, with that client, I had to have some on site consultation. We had to have some one on one to really to turn them around. We did some cultural surveys and everything in regards to that client. But you want to make sure that your people know that you are in, that you like them, that you want them to come back, that you said yes and they said yes during that onboarding and offer letter period, and you want them to stay because you don't want to go back on the job boards looking for someone else. You want them to stay with you. And one of the ways you do that is by giving them kudos. And then whenever I mention kudos or recognition, people raise it. Tanya, we don't have money for that. My HR doesn't have a budget, or my boss won't have, they don't necessarily give me money for that. Not everything costs money. A lot of things can be done for free, like sending those handwritten notes. Reward the efforts as well as the success. Wall of Fame. I worked for a company where we had four pillars to our mission statement. And on a wall in the hallway, the big printout was each pillar. And when someone did something that highlighted that pillar, we would put their name on the board. So you could literally, and it worked twofold. One, keeps that mission statement alive and well in your brain. Every time you walked, went to the kitchen, went to the restroom, went to the supply closet, you saw, what this company was really about. And then you also saw the people that were doing it. And so people enjoyed getting their name up on the wall. And so you want to have that wall of fame, or emails. Remember the tone, but emails is a great way too, and it doesn't cost you anything to send an email. Letters to family. I remember that I received an email from my brother's. It was actually my brother's company, and he actually sent it to the whole family in regard to what a great job he was doing. And so that was so amazing. I mean, your people's family, they're in it with the person, with your employee. They're in it too. If when your employee has to stay late, the family is affected. When your employee has to go out on a trip, their family is affected. So sending a letter to the wife, the child, whatever the case may be, sending a letter, is that would be, that really that goes a little step beyond of just sending the employee a letter, but really letting them know that we care and we know about this, that, it affects everyone. Also, shout outs, I'd like to shout out my sales team for, breaking their goal by 10% this month. Those are great. Team meetings, great way as well. And then employee of the week, month, quarter, maybe giving them a parking spot if you can, if you have the ability to do that. That's one way that doesn't cost anything. Birthday and anniversary celebrations. Now, this may cost you a little because if you want them to have cake and ice cream, but you can kind of lump them together. I always thought that, I worked for one company and I thought this was so great. They definitely celebrated the birthdays and said, happy birthday, but they really did it up for anniversaries, because anniversary is the one that truly affects the job, that you have been here for 2 years, 10 years. And birthdays, yes, we are glad that you were born, because, if you weren't, then you wouldn't be here. But they really amped up anniversaries over birthdays. So these are some of the free things you can do. I also, at the end of the presentation, I have a PDF of some other low cost, non money motivators for you as well. And then we want to get it right, meaning we want to get the right person on the right bus in the right seat going in the right direction. I know that's a lot of rights and we didn't make a left, but sometimes rights are good because we want to stay on the right path. And the way you do that is by identifying the career path. You want to make sure that you understand, and this really should be done during onboarding, finding out where they want to go. And then if you do bring them on, helping them get there. That is how you're going to keep this person motivated. That's how you're going to keep your culture terrific, because now everybody's happy. Everybody know that there's moving in a great direction. And then you want to pinpoint those individual motivators. I always say motivation is not a team sport. Yes, we can do big things like outings and ice cream socials, but when you're talking about managing a person one on one, you have to meet them at their level. You have to meet them at their motivators. And when you do that, you're going to get a lot out of that person. And if I get a lot out of you, I get a lot out of you, the next, guess what? I don't have that negative person that's going to bring down my whole organization. You want to identify and mitigate behavioral differences between managers and individual employees. We have a direct report and the leadership report. So the leader can see exactly how to best manage this person, because once again, it is an individual sport. We also want to know ahead of time. That's why a lot of our clients enjoy the benchmarking that we do. We're going to tell you in the report how this manager is going to work with this person. We're also going to tell you in the report how this person is going to work with the other peers or the other colleagues that's in that department. And so you're going to know ahead of time when you read the Omnia profile report exactly what this team is going to look, how this team is going to operate. We give you a heads up in regards to that. So because you want to get it right the first time. You want to make sure that everybody is moving in the right direction, because when you have those company goals, you have those set. Now you need, the team to kind of help you get to those goals, because you can't do it by yourself, hence why you hired people. So let's make sure that we're getting them going in the right place. And it's really about understanding your people. That's how you get them going in the right place. You want to understand their level of assertiveness. Are these the risk takers in your office? Or are they the ones that are more helpful, supportive, and like working behind the scenes? You want to find out how they communicate. I'm telling you, communication, I know you've seen this communication probably 4 times during this slide, because that is how important communication is when you're trying to turn your workplace from toxic to terrific. You have to communicate, and you have to understand how this person communicates. Are they the ones that like that privatized feedback? Or maybe they're the ones that enjoy, getting the company-wide shout out. Some people may be embarrassed by that. So even though that was on my kudos slide, shout outs, not everybody's going to enjoy that. So you want to make sure you understand that. Also, you want to make sure their pace. Everybody works differently. Everybody has a different pace. I'm going to do a quick little exercise, and I love this exercise in regards to time. So when I ask you to, I want everybody to close their eyes. And when I And when you think 30 seconds has elapsed, I want you to go ahead and open your eyes. Or excuse me, I forgot I'm used to doing this on site, so I want everybody to raise their hand once they think 30 seconds has elapsed. So I'll say those instructions again because I talked about eyes and you're like, how's she going to see my eyes? So I want everybody to actually, I do want you to close your eyes and try not to cheat because, I can't see if you do. But then when you think 30 seconds has elapsed, go ahead and raise your hand. So we'll go ahead, close your eyes. Okay, open your eyes. All righty. So if you haven't opened your eyes yet or you haven't raised your hand yet, guess what? 30 seconds has elapsed. So because I said that I protect the innocent and the guilty on my webinars, I'm not going to say their name. I'll just give their initial and maybe you will know who you are. First initial is H as in Henry. Second last name initial is Y as in yellow. And I said H is in Henry. The first name is not Henry, just to let you know. I was trying to throw y'all off the scent. But it's HY. Open their eyes at 18 seconds. That is 1-8. So let's all say that HY is assigning us projects. And she thinks that it takes 30 minutes. But she's coming to us at 18 minutes thinking, why haven't you done it yet? Well, HY, it takes 30 minutes to do, not 18 minutes. So pace is so important when you're looking at your team, when you're not trying, when you don't want to stress out your team. Because if you are quick pace and you're setting these demanding expectations, you're going to turn your workplace is going to be toxic because I don't feel like I can keep up. I feel like I'm always behind the eight ball, and nobody wants to feel that way, and they shouldn't. It's just because you think 18 seconds is 30 seconds. That can be sometimes a little problematic. And then the last one is structure. You want to make sure that the individuals that you understand their level of structure. Some people really enjoy having, chart your way, get there the best way that you can. Other people, give me some direction. Now, I say this, nobody wants a micromanager. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Nobody wants a micromanager, but some people do want a little more structure than others. So let's say that you are assigning a project and you want to get let's just say, a renewal report for the last quarter, and you don't care if it's, you don't care how you get it. You just really need to know you just need the data, the name, the company name, the date they signed up, and their volume. That's all you need, and you don't care which order it's put in. So you assign it to me, and I say okay, and let's say that I am this heavily structured individual, that I need some structure in my life. I'm going to come back to my desk and I'm going to sit there with trepidation because I don't know. Well, should I sort it by volume? Maybe I should sort it by company name. Maybe I should sort it by date. And the whole time you're sitting there in your office thinking, why is Tanya taking so long? It is literally control P and walk to the printer and give me the information. It's because you did not set me up for success. As my manager, you didn't give me enough information. And you're sitting there thinking, well, I wanted to empower her. Empower, empower. That is such a big buzzword about empowering your people. Yes, people do want to feel empowered, but you have to give me something from the beginning to empower me with. Like, you give me some type of structure. Now there are some people that would be perfectly fine with the instructions of, I need you to pull the renewal report. They'd go back and just, okay, if it's wrong, they'll let me know and I'll redo it. And so that's why sometimes when you assign projects to people, and I bet there'll be some people, raise your hand if this is you, if you go out right now and assign a project, you already know the people that are going to have 5,000 questions before you get back to your office. Yep, I see hands going up everywhere. Yes, they have questions because you have people working for you. Some people would rather ask for forgiveness, and some people would rather ask for permission. What is the same in both of those statements? Ask. Both of them are going to ask, just some people want to get it straight on the front end. Other people be like, well, if I did it wrong, guess what? Paula Marie will tell me and I'll just fix it. And they're okay with that. So you want to make sure you understand the structure that you need. And as a leader, it is imperative that you do that. You want to let them be free. You don't want that micromanaging. You do want to empower them, but you want to empower them the right way. You want to let them be free, and when they are free, it lessens your job in regards to that management piece, and you're going to get better ideas. Also, as a leader, no comfort zone. And you're like, what? I don't want you, I shouldn't make my people comfortable. I should turn the AC on 50 every day. What? No, I'm not talking about the physical comfort. I'm really talking about that emotional type of comfort, meaning that you want to push them. You don't want your people to get stagnant. You don't want them to feel that they can do their job in an hour and then they have 7 hours left. You want to make sure that you are stretching the people. And when you have that Omnia report in hand, that's going to help you and to find out how to stretch your people, how to make sure that you're getting the best out of them. We should all have goals and we should all have stretch goals. You want to make sure that your people are not getting complacent. And the way you do that is by having that no comfort zone. Always have them striving for something better, for something bigger. Next, give them control. Let them control their destiny. Whenever possible, delegate some things. Don't take ownership of everything. That is um, one quick way to motivate and to turn your workplace around is by giving people more responsibility. Because if you give them ownership, that they don't want to work for a place or work in a place that's negative. They don't want to have ownership in a place that's negative. So you want to give them ownership in regards to their responsibilities, in regards to other aspects in the office. Also, be a mentor, a coach, not necessarily a manager. You want to lead your people, you want to bring your people up, you don't want to manage. Being a manager is hard, being a leader is rewarding, and you want to look at it that way. So, you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your people, and the way you do that is by coaching them along, mentoring them along. When you do that, one is first understanding the team. So, we do team dynamic analysis, understanding who you have, where the holes are, also on site training, just like that eye exercise that I did. That's why I said eyes and open your eyes because we also do on site and then employee surveys. Sometimes you don't know how bad it is until you've done an employee survey. I have been in so many executive meeting discussions after we've done employee surveys, and they were shocked and surprised. Did not even know that employees were feeling that way. And that's because they stayed in their office, one, and also they never asked the question. You have people that have great work ethic that are going to show up, that are going to work and do the job. But you want people to come in and want to do the job, not that they have to do the job. You want because if you come from a place of wanting to do, that makes you want to do it even more, makes you work harder, faster, better. If I have to do it, because let's all think of the things that we have to do every month. We have to pay bills, or we have to visit the in-laws. Oh, I'm just joking, of course. But think of the things that you have to do. Nobody wants to have to do things. But think of the things that you want to do: reading a book, going to the beach, going on a roller coaster. Now, that one's me. I want to go I love roller coasters. Maybe not everybody. But think of it. So that's the difference. And when you have an employee survey, you start understanding that piece. You want to ask yourself as a leader, who do I spend most of my time with and why? And are you spending most of your time with one person because of negativity or because you're stretching your people? You're creating goals and plans and stretch goals for them. That's what you should be doing. You should be spending time with people to do that, not on that opposite side. How much time are you spent averting disaster? Now, don't get me wrong. I know people saying Tanya just is having this kumbaya moment that there's just roses and flowers and everything is perfect. No, we all know that there's going to be a time that conflict arises, and conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing. From conflict can come growth. But you want to make sure that you're not, all day you're putting out fires. Nobody wants to be a fireman all day unless you're an actual fireman. And I don't even know if they really want to have to put out fires for their 12-hour shifts. I mean, they're there to do it, but nobody, when you go into work, you don't want to have to say, okay, how many fires am I going to have to put out today? So you want to think about that. And the way you do that is by that great communication, making sure your policies are consistent. Also, what is the common denominator in the drama? If there's one person, if there's one issue, let's go ahead and direct that immediately, or let's go directly to the source and not beat around the bush. I remember I had a manager that if something went wrong in the department, it would just he would just send out an email saying, you all need to, and just whatever it is. And maybe only one person out of the 15 that he was managing did that. But instead of going to the person directly and handling the situation, he put it out to everyone. So we just all started, did you do it? Did you do it? We finally found out, which person did, that thing that he said in the email. But if you don't address the situation directly, you're going to have it's going to be a lot harder. And am I allowing or causing the toxic environment to grow? So, are you having those miscommunications, the tones, and different things like that? And then, when did the toxic behavior start? You want to get to the root of everything. And as I close out, the final thoughts is you want to identify that source. You want to make sure that you are not the main person creating the negativity. You don't want to avoid it. You want to address it head on, and you want to take action. You want to make sure that you are moving forward. And a great way to do that is starting off with our developmental reports. These reports are meant to be shared with the individual so you all can have an open, honest conversation about where their strengths are, where their challenges are, and then where you want to take them in the next place, in their career with your organization. As I close out, please type any questions that you have. Also, I want you all to please sign up for next month's webinar, Coaching Employees Through Negativity and Conflict. We talked about some of that here. They're really going to go in depth in regards how to do that. The PowerPoint presentation is under takeaways, and those motivation tips that I told you about are there, as well as some negativity warning signs as well. This this webinar is being recorded. It will probably be up on our YouTube page in probably 1 to 2 weeks. So to find out, you're going to want to join us on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and we will let you know when that comes up. Also, sign up for the other webinars we have. We have one every month. It is I believe the third Thursday. But if you sign up, we're gonna let you know when to join us. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And please, I'm going to stay on the line. And if you have any questions, or you can definitely contact me at tdevane@omniagroup.com. My contact information is up above. If you have any suggestions in regards to future webinar topics that you would like us to talk about, we really listen. So I want to thank you all for joining, and everyone have a great day.